The scene starts with Libby's poignant memory of her mother before ending up in an interrogation room as a witness to her family's murder. Later, financially struggling and relying on donations, she talks with Lyle, her financial advisor, who informs her she has less than $500 left in her fund and also owes rent. After a frustrating meeting with her financial advisor, Libby reluctantly reaches out to Lyle Worth, who had previously offered her money for a personal appearance at his club. Despite her initial uneasy impression of him, their meeting confirms Lyle's genuine interest in her case. Libby tentatively meets with Lyle in his laundromat at night, where he explains his interest in her case, describing a group he's part of called the Kill Club. While initially taken aback, Libby listens as Lyle describes how they discuss and unpack true crime cases and her family's murder has a special significance among them. Libby agrees to attend Lyle's Kill Club, gathering for $700 and a chance to sell her family memorabilia. Then, a flashback to Libby's childhood captures a normal family breakfast that unravels when Ben, her brother, was revealed his dyed black hair, causing a small uproar among his siblings and unnerving their mother. Libby is introduced to the world of the Kill Club, exploring the array of characters involved. Lyle stresses that despite the eccentricities, they are serious about solving crimes. Libby's credibility rises with her presence as she's recognized by Bob, another member. Libby gets offended and decides to leave the Kill Club because of a disgusting joke. However, Lyle convinces her to stay by showing her the serious aspect and genuine intention of the club. Bob introduces Libby, who is famous due to her tragic story, to the club members. Libby is distressed as the club discusses her family's murder case in detail. They share differing theories about the identity of the killer and question certain aspects of the case that could hint at other potential suspects. Members probe Libby for more details, asking about memories of that day. During their discussion about the murder case, Libby is taken aback by unfamiliar references and the passionate defense of her brother by Magda, an activist seeking Ben's exoneration. Magda urges Libby to recant her testimony and reveals impending evidence disposal due to budget cuts, putting a tight deadline on their efforts to free Ben. After an aggressive confrontation with Magda, Libby panics and flees the building, resulting in her collapse. Later, we move back in time to Libby's past, where she witnesses Ben being bullied. The bullies mock their friend Trey for his mixed heritage, calling into question Libby's alliances and friendships at the time. Trey and his friends reveal their dark, sacrificial rituals, linking them to some local animal murders. In another scene, an FHA worker named Joseph informs the family that their farm is going to be foreclosed due to financial instability. The news leaves the family in shock. Joseph delivers the grim news to the family. Their farm will be foreclosed, leaving them financially destitute. Meanwhile, a detective presses Libby to verify her belief that her brother, Ben, murdered their family. Desperate for money, Libby offers to investigate this case further, hinting she's willing to even reconnect with Runner, presumably another family member with whom she'd cut ties. Libby haggles with Lyle over payment for her investigation into her family's murder case. Despite her reluctance to accept Ben's innocence, Libby eventually agrees to speak with him. Meanwhile, she makes a surprising admission, stating she saw Ben on the night of the murder. In the prison, Libby confronts Ben and they exchange updates about their lives. While Ben seems to have adapted well in prison, getting his high school diploma and studying for a college degree, Libby thinks about the lonely life she leads. Ben's warmth towards Libby leads him to differentiate Libby from the people he's angry with. Libby and Ben's conversation reveals more about their respective lives, including Ben's romantic misadventures and Libby's isolation. However, when Ben tries to cultivate more camaraderie between them, Libby becomes defensive, highlighting her sense of betrayal and deep loneliness. Libby confronts Ben about her suspicion that he murdered their family, which he solemnly denies. The moment is intense as Libby lashes out, pulling back from Ben's attempts at reconciliation. Later, Ben gets intimate with a girl who mentions a mutual acquaintance, Chrissy Cates. Rumors regarding Ben start circulating, causing tension. Ben's emotional turmoil is amplified when Diane visits, bringing gifts but also grim news about the family farm's financial troubles. Patty fiercely resists the idea of selling their parents' legacy but worries for Ben, whose whereabouts remain unknown. Patty and Ben discuss their upcoming baby and the need for discretion, given Patty's father's brutality. Patty suggests they should leave town and that Ben might have to ask Runner, Ben's father, for financial support, shocking Diane by revealing a family secret to Ben unwittingly. After an emotionally tense interaction, Ben and Patty plan to get some money from Runner, Ben's father. They want to escape the town. The scene shifts to a report about Satanism, highlighting the societal fear around satanic practices prevalent during that time. The narration reveals a police investigation fraught with procedural negligence. Despite her reluctance, Lyle urges Libby to view the case files. He shares his suspicion about Luke Cates, another potential suspect with a violent history. Lyle believes Libby's intelligence would allow her to see the anomalies in the case. Memory returns as Libby contemplates her shy and serious brother Ben, doubting he was capable of the heinous act she testified against him for. Libby, posing as Sally, reaches out to the mother of Chrissy Cates, another alleged victim of Ben who never pressed charges. Despite her new family, Chrissy's mom shows frustration towards the constant inquiries about her estranged daughter. Libby learns that Chrissy, another alleged victim of her brother, is now a stripper living in Colombia. Simultaneously, another scene ensues between Mrs. Day and the authorities over the allegations against her son Ben, which include child abuse and satanic rituals. Mrs. Day persists in seeking proof against these serious allegations. Patty confronts Mrs. Cates about her son Ben's alleged assault on Chrissy. Later, Patty reaches out to Chrissy, who now works at a strip club. Chrissy reluctantly agrees to talk about her traumatic past involving Ben in exchange for a drink. Chrissy shares her horrifying past with Patty, telling her about Ben's abusive behavior and their family's involvement in satanic practices. Chrissy's father reacted strongly when she told him about Ben's abuse. She then asks Lyle for money, promising to pay him back. Libby confronts Chrissy, wanting clarity about the past. She also tries to locate Runner but ends up engaging in a cryptic conversation with Bert about that night. While reading her sister Michelle's diary, she uncovers new information about Ben's mysterious girlfriend, Diandra. Amid these revelations, Libby attempts to piece together her murky memories about their tragic past. After an emotional conversation with Bert, Libby comes home to find Runner, her estranged father, there. He has selfishly shown up demanding money from Patty, who is already struggling with her own problems. Patty insists on his immediate departure, hinting at the pervasive hardships she faces as a single mother. Libby's search for her father, Runner, takes her to a men's hostel, where she learns he has been kicked out for drinking. The manager refers her to a toxic waste site, warning her of the likely disappointment she will face there. Meanwhile, Runner, demanding money from Patty, insults her horribly before storming off, clearly reflecting their strained and dysfunctional relationship. Libby finally confronts her father, Runner, at the toxic waste dump. Runner immediately takes a defensive, cruel demeanor. An argument ensues, with Runner trying to deflect blame for the Day family murders, implying Patty's involvement with Trey Tipino. Runner's main concern seems directed towards the missing insurance money from Patty's death. In a heated confrontation, Libby and Runner argue about the missing insurance money from Patty's death. Runner implies Patty's involvement with Trey Tipino and insinuates that devil worshippers might have killed Diandra. Diandra suddenly appears, interrupting their conversation. In between various disturbing interactions, Trey tries to pressure Runner into paying his debts. Diandra's surprise appearance fuels tension as she confronts Runner about money. We learn she is pregnant and wants to receive what she is rightfully owed. A dark ritualistic scene follows involving unidentified substances, sharp weapons, and satanic chanting. Amidst the chanting and ritual, Trey challenges Runner to be brave and take part in the ongoing brutal event. Parallelly, an intense dialogue unfolds between Libby and Ben. Libby insists Ben tell her about Diandra and their baby, and confronts him about taking money to testify against her. Libby and Ben have a fundamental disagreement over their shared family traits. While Libby blames their inherent violent tendencies for her perceived behavior, Ben refuses to believe their lineage could commit severe crimes. Meanwhile, Patty discusses with Michelle about Ben's erratic behavior, revealing Michelle's distaste for her brother's troubling attitude. Patty unexpectedly receives a hopeful call from Joseph at FHA. Libby finds out Diandra Sue Wertzner vanished in 1985 and was never found. She also encounters an old acquaintance who reminisces about their past with her brother Ben, admitting she developed a crush on him due to his kindness and creativity. Seeing Ben back off after their first kiss, a young acquaintance spins tales about her devil worshipper, high school boyfriend. Meanwhile, Patty receives a phone call from Joseph at FHA with hopeful news, but they will need a good lawyer to avoid Ben from being labeled a child molester. Facing a dire predicament, Patty is proposed an unsettling solution, which she refuses considering the potential repercussions for her son, Ben. When Libby questions Lyle's obsession with her family's case, he divulges that he's intrigued by the chain of events that were triggered by the actions of mere kids. Libby and Lyle visit Trey Tipino, a man from Ben's past who owed their father money. Trey, a supposed reformed man, shares about Ben's infatuation with a girl named Diandra, who is always seeking attention and has been missing for the past 25 years, generating more mystery around their case. Using the invented name, Polly Palm, Libby and Lyle track Diandra to Kearney, Missouri. Flashbacks show Diandra panicking as she hears news of Ben's crimes. Afraid of getting caught, they plan to leave town and gather their savings to fund this sudden escape. Libby and Lyle locate Diandra, currently living under the alias of Polly Palm. Diandra reveals her plans to run away with Ben on the night of the incident. She admits she thought Ben had abandoned their plan when he failed to meet up with her after going home to gather money. The truth of this night starts to unravel. Diandra discloses she planned to run away with Ben and was pregnant, confirming Ben was going to leave with Diandra and not kill his family. They are interrupted by a noise revealing Libby has entered their mother's room. Unraveling events start leading towards a chilling discovery. Libby stumbles upon Diandra, her lover Ben's ex-girlfriend, and Crystal, their secret love child. Diandra continues to act menacingly and doesn't hesitate to share her resentment for the Day family, while Crystal is excited to meet Libby, her long-lost aunt. Suddenly overwhelmed, Libby excuses herself. Libby receives a phone call from Lyle who reveals he solved her case, claiming that a serial killer named Calvin Deal, involved in staging deaths, was hired by her mother. Shocked, Libby urgently requests Lyle to pick her up, but discovers Diandra and Crystal eavesdropping on her conversation. Watching their suspicious behavior, she promises to keep their location a secret and hastily leaves. It's revealed that Lyle is right about the Day family tragedy being premeditated. The guilty parties are Diandra, Trey, and Ben, who take out Michelle and Patty. A young Libby, however, escapes from a window despite their violent efforts to stop her. A chaotic and devastating scene. The young Libby, managing a miraculous escape, breaks free despite Diandra and Ben's attempts to stop her. In the present, Diandra, revealed as Polly Palm, gets arrested for her role in the tragic Day family massacre. Lyle provides support to a traumatized adult Libby. The news reports announce Ben Day's forthcoming release from prison, linking his past conviction to his mother's association with serial killer Calvin Deal, aka Angel of Debt. Patty's letter reveals her willing participation in her own death to secure an insurance payout, hoping her children would understand and forgive her for making this painful decision. Libby and Ben have a raw conversation about their past, their misunderstandings, and their disappointments. Ben's regret for protecting Diandra, the murderer of his sister, resonates with Libby, who has been living with the traumatic burden of her family's death. They acknowledge their lack of understanding and the mutual lies that have kept them apart, questioning what future coexistence they could have. The siblings, Libby and Ben, have a heartfelt conversation about their tragic past, with Ben expressing his remorse and Libby accepting that she needs to let go of the pain. She shares a poignant moment at their old farm, reflecting on their mother's teachings about leading a useful life, and admits that Ben learned forgiveness, something she's yet to do.